I'm Darren Crooks and welcome to the first ever iDead Christmas episode. Today we're going to be talking about One Hell of a Christmas, which came out in 2002 and was directed by Shaky Gonzalez. This is not a movie a lot of people have heard of, and for good reason, I guess. The first time I ever came across this film was in a car boot sale back in 2002 probably, which I would have been about 9 or 10. My dad had bought this film on pirated VHS, and I remember watching it back then, and there was like one scene in particular that creeped me out, and I can't remember ever watching it ever since then. So it was either last year or earlier this year I decided to try and track this film down. Couldn't remember the name of it for one thing, so I had to figure out what that was and then see if I could get the film. And the only way I was able to get it is like through, I think it's a Dutch DVD, but it plays on Region 2, so I'm happy enough. Even if it was Region 1, it would have been fine because I do have a Region 1 DVD player. But I've been holding off until Christmas to watch this movie, and I thought if I'm going to do a last video of 2020, which this might be, it might as well be a Christmas movie. So I watched this tonight, just before recording this video, and honestly, it was a lot better than I expected it to be. That doesn't mean it's good, but it was just better than what I imagined. So the story of this film basically is this guy, Carlos, played by Tulo Montanas, never seen him in anything else, gets released from prison, and there's this weird claw going around that produces this black cocaine type stuff that gives you like superhuman powers and whatever else. But his mate ends up getting a hold of it, and he brings it around to Carlos that night. They get hopped up on it. They end up ordering some like prostitute, and then things go a bit out of hand, and the prostitute dies. So they try to bury the body, or they bury the body, and then try and forget about it. But then the next night, Carlos is on his own, and shit hits the fan. She comes back to life. She looks all crazy, messed up. That her face is what I remember as a kid, because it freaked me out as a kid, but I don't know why, because it just looks awful now with the practical effects. And like the story is interesting enough, it keeps you going, because like I've missed out a lot of what happens because I'm just getting to the bare bones of the story. But yeah, like I wasn't bored during the whole opening sort of 40 minutes, I guess, maybe. So that was fine. And then whenever the girl's being possessed and she comes back to life, why she's being possessed, I don't know. But it's obviously some sort of demon that comes with the claw. Possesses her body. She comes back to life. I got some real Evil Dead vibes. And that's a big friggin'... What's the word? I'm giving it a lot of props for comparing it to Evil Dead even slightly, but that was the sort of vibe I got from it. And then like once she comes back from the dead, the movie just goes full on silly, and there's a lot of moments where they're trying to build up tension, but it just felt like they were filling time, which didn't really need to be filled. Like they could have cut 10 minutes of this movie just from Carlos walking around his house looking scared, and it would have been, the pacing would have been so much better. And it wouldn't have felt as drawn out towards the end, because as the movie went on, it got sillier and it got more boring, especially in the last 15 minutes or so. But before we get into that, she gets possessed, and then there's this whole thing. She turns into a fucking demon ninja, and it's just silly. And then he does away with her. Then the demon starts to move on to other things in the house, one of them being a giant wolf teddy bear that he had got his son for Christmas. So it turns into some weird fairies Five Nights at Freddy's sort of shit. And then it takes over a poster character who's a cowboy, a little Santa, and a few... I think that might be it, to be honest. But yeah, it has some really good ideas, but the budgeting is probably what really hindered the film. Like, the acting by the main guy and all, it's not awful. Like, he can sell the character, which is enough. But the lighting's terrible, the special effects aren't great, and the pacing doesn't work at all. It is too slow in moments where things should be picking up, and the sound design is awful because you can't hear anybody speak whenever they're a demon. Their voice is too drawn out from like bass or something that just doesn't sound right. Like, the movie is interesting, which kept me going. Like, I was watching going, no, this isn't as bad as I remember. The quality of the picture's awful, but, you know, it wasn't enough to put me off. The lighting's not great either, but still you could see everything that was happening. I can understand why I haven't went and watched this movie since then. It's not a film that's really that... It's not going to stick with you, but I wouldn't... It's better than some of the fucking Christmas horror films I've seen, to be honest. It's just sort of towards the end of the film, you find out who the claw and all belongs to that produces this black cocaine, and it gets just sort of... It doesn't know what it wants to do with itself near the end of the film, and I feel like it should have ended about 10 minutes before it actually ended, because by the time the movie ended, I'd completely zoned out. I was on my phone, just going like, right, is this movie nearly over? It's starting to pour the tits off me, but once it ended, I was like, right, okay. Might as well do a video on it, because it's Christmas, and I'm not watching any other Christmas movies, probably, apart from A Nightmare Before Christmas tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Christmas Eve. Today's not Christmas Eve. Yeah, whatever. I'm babbling now. Don't know if I've said everything I wanted to say, but, you know, there's not an awful lot you can say about this film. If you're into super B-movie horror Christmas movies and you want something new to watch and you haven't seen it, give it a watch. You might really enjoy it. You might hate it as well. If you go into IMDb, the like, you know, the ratings on it are so left field, like, from each other. Like, one person's giving a 1 star and the next person's giving like a 6 or 7 stars, and wow, you're being way too harsh on this film. And I'll say the 1 stars probably are being too harsh, but it doesn't deserve anything more than maybe like 4, and that's being generous. Like, really generous. So yeah, it might be one you've never heard of before. I don't think a lot of people have, but, you know, if you're into those weird sort of films, it's one to check out. So yeah, thanks for watching. 2020's been a pain in the arse, and 2021 doesn't look like it's going to be any better, but we're all going to get through it either way. Just keep your loved ones a text away, because you can't really keep them at arm's reach anymore. And if anybody needs any help, all the resources out there. If anybody, for whatever reason, wants to get in contact with me, do it through social media. I'm not that hard to find. Darren Crooks on Facebook, iDead, Instagram, and Facebook. So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that shit. I don't know if I'm going to be doing another video before 2021, but I might do. Depends how bored I get in between now and then. And if I have anything I've watched that I actually want to talk about, there is a few things that I've seen recently that I wouldn't mind doing videos on, but we'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm saying goodbye, and I'll see you next year, or in a couple of days' time. I don't know. I'm really tired, so this video is probably awful, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.